I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm afraid I can't ask for an acceptance of the minutes because we don't have a quorum, so we'll have to table that, I think, until next month. I'd like to thank you all for coming, and let me just start with Ray Slavin, who has some guests. Thank you for coming as well.
Yeah, we were a little embarrassed. We usually have a lot more people in this, but I appreciate you coming in. These are two ladies that are Old Town Hall people who have been dispossessed. And I just thought we'd give us an update on where is everybody now. I know we've lost some, so if you could just give us an update on how things are going and your new digs and how's everything going with that. And
we'll take turns in filling. I'm now in an apartment in Darien, and it's wonderful. It's a studio apartment, and it's right across from Papa Joe's. You know those up there, and they have a studio. I guess it's their, I don't know how to say it. Help the poor one, because it costs way less than the others. And I lucked out to get it. My daughter was helping me, had a realtor. And I bring all this up because the change was not very easy for a lot of people. It's not even easy for me in the sense that we're no longer in a community. We don't walk out our door and see people we know. I mean, I'm never going to know the people where I am now. They're young and great, and they leave at 7 and come back at 7, and they have little kids. So if I met, we say hi, and that's it. So anyway, what was the other part? You want to know about
where is every? Well, like
I'll
Alan.
tell you, they're mostly in Stamford, and Betty can fill you in better on that. But the reason I got where I got is because I really wanted to be in Darien, and my daughter knew that. And the thing we got that was telling us where we could go from Garden Apartments started in Bridgeport and ended in Stamford. The end. They didn't even look in Darien. So we had to look for that. And the other people, I guess they should speak for themselves, but it's really nice because people who are experts on seniors have asked us to go to the senior center, our former Old Town Hall House group, for coffee and lunch once a month. And so that's how we happen to see each other. I mean, it's close, but we're not great at driving back and forth to see each other. We kind of minimize that sort of stuff. So to be able to see each other at the senior center is great. And we lost 4 people, unfortunately. Well, maybe Barbara doesn't count. In a sense, she died before we were in the process of starting to leave. But we've lost 3 of us since then. And they've told us it's going to be 2 years now instead of 1 year. We never believed the 1 year part, 2 years. And I, for one, am really happy in my apartment, and it's only the thing of not being with people that I know. So,
I'm living on Hope Street.
By the way, that was Georgette, and that's Betty.
Okay. Hi, how are you? I'm living in Stamford, Hope Street, Springdale area. And there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, 6 of us. There's 5 of us now, and all living within the area. I never see them though. One's out in California right now with her family. She'll be back in May, I think. But the place is bigger than what I had. The floors are absolutely gorgeous, but it's old. It was built in 1930, but it's very clean, and I miss my flowers. You can't do anything there. I'm on the north side, so there's never any sun. You know, so I can't even. And very well, I'm in the back, so it's not so bad. But it's when you go out there, you can't hear yourself think. It's so noisy. There's a gas station that's a 24-hour across the street, and poor Carol. She's right next door, and she's up almost all night with these with the gas
Told
station.
me the traffic was bad, sometimes you can't, you have to wait before you can get
Oh,
out.
yeah, you have to take a right, can't take a left. And there's, other than that though, I mean, the place itself is nice, it's comfortable and quiet. But, you know, there's no, like she said, you go outside, you don't see anybody you know, and, you know, stuff like
Have you
that.
had any
We miss
feedback?
our home. That's what-
Have you had any feedback from the housing authority about anything? You know, do they talk to you from time to time, or what?
Hardly ever, we just got the letter about how Nicole's gone and Melissa's back and Myrna's still there. And they're having some kind of get-together at the end of April if we want to go meet Melissa, who we apparently met before. Is it Melissa?
I think it's Melissa, yes.
I don't remember her. But very little, I mean, they don't initiate any, well, they never have really, conversation about how it's going. That doesn't happen.
Well,
Okay.
I just want to add one more thing. When I was moving, it was an absolute nightmare.
Tell
They
that
didn't
story.
even, they didn't even have me on the list. I mean, I didn't even live there. So they had to get a truck at the last minute, and I had 2 nieces and my son. And these people are very busy, you know, and they actually, my nieces took a whole day off just to help me. And the truck was like 4 hours late because they had to get, and the truck was so small, and I didn't even have them move my couch, so they couldn't fit everything on it. And my nieces had to move the rest of the stuff because my son was busy on a job in Stanford. And one of my nieces have a bad back. I mean, they're not that much younger than me. I mean, they were almost in the same. And it was just an absolute nightmare. I just hope when I go to move again, it's not going to be like that. Put me on the list. But it was just awful. It really was. I mean, it was just one thing compounding the other the whole day. It was just awful.
Have they stored the things that you couldn't take with you?
Oh, no, we got it all over there.
Yeah, good.
I thank goodness the place I live in have 2 great big closets, and, you know, everything fit. And I bought a new couch while I was there. So,
Okay. Any questions?
Any questions? Well, ladies, thank you very much for coming
Thank you.
and informing, keeping us informed, and we will try our best to make sure that everything transitions well for you if we can help you.
Thank you. When it's time for us to go back, push people to talk with us. I mean, they tell us when we go back, we'll have our pick of apartment. I sort of doubt it unless, I mean, nobody means to not do it, but nobody does it either. You know, like call us and say the time is to go back. Could be really helpful.
Thank
Maybe it
you.
would be good if some
Well,
of
you
us
also
came
you have
to the
to
meeting.
support. You have to support Valley and you have to support Event. So you know, in terms of them whenever you can, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
They would get much more reaction if they spoke to somebody.
We will come to the meetings, the housing authority meetings, as things. I went to one in January just to see what the progress was, but we will definitely make sure to advocate for you, make sure that goes as smoothly as possible.
Great, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Ray, a question. Is the timetable truly open at this point in time for getting to the end point?
It's
We
2
haven't
years
broken
ago
ground
now.
yet.
Oh.
I have a friend who wanted to sign up for it, and she was told to come in February. She went in February. They said come back in July, and she has no thought that they're going to be ready then either. I don't think they know. I'm not sure.
The meeting
Well,
that I
Ally-
went to,
Yeah.
Joe Warren said that they weren't going to open the waiting list until there was some progress in
Yeah.
the construction.
Yeah.
So I think everything's on hold right now. And they didn't have a clear process of how people would be, on the, how the lottery system would work for the new wait list.
Yeah.
There is a
So
list.
they- There's an existing
there is
waiting
a
list, and they did
Yeah.
confirm with me, actually Myrna, just a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to her, and she did confirm that the people on the waiting list will, after you guys return, you get priority of your choice of apartment, and then the people on the waiting list, and then the new lottery. So I just keep asking her to make sure that those people on the waiting list don't disappear or fall off the face of the earth somehow, but they continue to say they're gonna honor it, so.
Okay.
Thank you again for coming.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
May I have your report back, please, Senior Center?
since there's still a lot of things going on, we're gonna go with not what happened, but what's happening. On April 30th, we are doing a lunch and learn with At Home in Darien called Living for Your Brain and Your Body, Healthy Living for Your Brain and Body. The speaker is a wonderful social worker from the Alzheimer's Association, and it's going to be a really positive, see downstairs, it's going to be a real positive presentation that she's going to give. We have already 30 people on the list, and then we're doing another list because it's a complimentary lunch to Darien residents, but we're actually opening the list up to non-residents too, who will pay the $5 for lunch. And there's a lot of interest in this topic and subject. Also, wanted to let you know that Ramon Augusto will be back. This is good, this is on Channel 79. From now until the summer, every month, he's from the Veterans Corner office. He has saved people and gotten people so much money. It's unbelievable what he does. And he really encourages spouses to come that have had husbands that were in the service, because people don't realize what they're eligible to get. One gentleman had bills, medical bills that were over the top for him, and he was able to get $5,000 to get rid of all of those medical expenses. So we have at the center what you need to bring with you for these visits. I'm not going to go through it, it's kind of lengthy. But the spousal support, the monthly pension payment that you can get depending on how long your husband served, is actually pretty significant, and it could be something that helps people stay in their homes. He does come to the center. He's coming today from 12:30 to 2. He'll be here on May 15th also from 12:30 to 2. We plan out every month when he's going to be here, so I only know those 2 months. But I will tell you that he comes back into the area, he uses the center, and he makes appointments all through the month. So once you connect with him, if somebody comes in and they don't have the proper paperwork, or they need a little bit more advice and help from him, he will be back in, and he comes into the area, and he utilizes the center sort of as his office. So there's some months that he's going to come in April 17th. He might be there, at least once a week until May 15th too, and continue on. So our time for our area is all from the spring all through the early fall, and then it stops and goes into another area. But again, there's people that have his phone number because he gives them their cell, and they call him all year round if they want to. This man is extremely dedicated. All the gentlemen that work with this program, and it's mostly gentlemen in our area right now, so I'm not excluding ladies for any reason other than there are not any ladies that are doing it. They all served, so they have an unbelievable compassion and for service, and also for what people are going through. So to let you know, and also that we do have these downstairs.
Beth, is that getting publicity like that? Sounds like it will be a perfect thing for the Darien Times to cover.
Yes, it would be. So we'll send, we actually did send this out. We send quite a few things out to the Darien Times.
You might want to send a note to Sandy Fox, because I think that's a really great subject. And she might.
Well, I'm talking to Susan today because
Susan Schultz, okay.
Yeah.
About something else. We're going to do a big story. We're doing a whole story on Memorial Day issue. We're getting, in fact, Betty's helping me with that.
This would be wonderful to put in that issue, actually, because people probably don't. And I'll give you everything that I have downstairs.
All right, great.
But it's great service, and it's an unbelievable person that's actually doing it. And I'm telling you, he'll be here a lot. So it's just these office hours are not reflective of how much he actually is in our area. So I will give those to you.
And he'll do home visits for those who are homebound.
Yes, he does home visits as well. And he has quite a list now to people that he comes to see on a regular basis. And income tax is over for us. It was a light year for us, but it was the first year too. I think that they want to come back and do it again. It really sped up toward the end. We actually had a lot of people calling Monday, April 15th. That always fascinates me, but we sent them elsewhere. So it was a good experiment, and it was well received, and I think that they're going to want to come back again next year to help with that. Also looking ahead, on May 8th. I've been trying to do something for caregiving in the early evening. I partnered with Maplewood because they were able to get Susan Verano, who's a Yale University physician, and she's going to be doing a really important topic from a doctor's perspective, which is, when is it time for home care? When is it time for assisted living? When might it be time for long-term care? And I've heard her before. She's very down to earth, very approachable, but she does it from a doctor's point of view. What a doctor's looking at: the quality of life, safety, security, mental health. And it's going to be from 5:30 to 7, and Maplewood is offering a light supper. So we already have about 25 people signed up, but it doesn't need to be a big event, but the flyers are down in the center. If anybody's interested in calling, I can give you them more information.
What is the date? I'm sorry, Beth.
On May 8th. It's a Wednesday from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. So we're looking, the last program that we had, which was the Alzheimer's Forum, received close to 50 people. We're trying to do these early evening. It also introduces people to the center who may not have come into the center, and it really does highlight that we are doing things for caregivers and that we are service beside programs, entertainment, and education. So we're happy to have this. And these are reach outs that are coming to us that we're not necessarily reaching out to, that people are, it's in the wind, that it's a good place to have these programs. So, okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Beth. Tony, I asked Tony to come today because I had a couple of questions for him. One is, Mary's not here, she's on vacation, so I wanted to get a little update from Tony on her work with the tax abatement. Is there anything different or?
Nothing has changed. I was asked, I think by you and Joe, to consider reviewing a little bit more of the veterans exemptions.
Yeah, right.
You brought that up recently, but as Beth mentioned, that the federal tax return deadline of April 15th has passed. We are still accepting applications for the homeowners program. The program's from February to May 15th. We average about 120 to 130 homeowners on tax relief programs. They get a significant benefit. The credit program categories are again very close to last year's, with a married couple being at $52,900. For a single, it's $45,000. But we have the additional benefits of deferring your taxes, which requires a lien to be put on the property. I'm again restating what we've talked about in the past. And I want to thank you for absorbing some of this in your minutes, getting direct access to the website that we have for the assessors section. Hopefully people will revisit that. I mentioned the deferral program because the income level for a married couple could be as high as $72,900. For a single, it's $65,000, and that would need a copy of the front page of the federal tax return showing the adjusted gross income on the bottom corner and the 1099 form. So it's a combination of Social Security and that. So we have up till May 15th for those programs. You did mention it's timely that we have a Veterans Corner and a gentleman that's helping out for that, because last week you gave me a call and we were trying to research and maybe revisit the Veterans program. Last year, or a couple of years ago, we did put it for additional veterans that we have. I think we're close to 60 that have low income, meaning if you're single and you're a veteran and your income is under $61,000, married couple at $68,900, they can apply for tax relief for next July. Mm-hmm. So they would come in between now and October 1st. So we did put our foot in the door to try to enhance the Veterans Tax Relief Program. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I don't think it was much further than that. But I've researched further on your question on where the other towns are sitting, and we need to revisit the extensive study that you've done, Jennifer. I think it's 5 or 6 years ago.
Right. And at that time, we were the lowest in Fairfield County for assessment for the...
It's a $1,500 assessment benefit, which would be less than about a $20 tax benefit for veterans that served at any time.
Now, the other towns in Fairfield County are almost all of them higher.
Okay.
So I will revisit that again and give you I will call them all and ask them. I do think it needs to be revisited. I think that's Darien really needs to keep up with the times with their veterans. I think that's a very definite
There is a
issue.
statute that says if the grand list ever goes up, the tax base ever goes up more than 50%, then the benefits would double. If the tax grand list ever doubled, and based on your phone call, I researched that a little further. In 1978, the tax base went up 66%. In the 1988 grand list went up 233%, but the law wasn't in place. It's hard to believe that we had a tax base of $797 million and it went to $2.6 billion in 1 year. The growth expanded even further. Interesting little tidbit. 31% in 1989, where the grand list went from 2.9 billion to 4.2 billion. Can you imagine market appreciations at that degree? I forgot about any of that happened. Not that I'm Jurassic, but I'm trying to give you some of the facts. The increase in 2003 was 32%, where the tax base went from 4.2 billion to 6.2 billion. And then it just changed a little bit differently with the 2008 recession and the 2013 list and the 2018 list. 2013 went down 7%. And we've just gone down about 1% this past tax base. So we're not giving veterans benefits any further in complement to the limited state statutes that we have. But I'm with you, and I'll do a survey through the Fairfield County Assessors Association
Oh, good, thank you.
in the next month or so.
Thank
We'll
you
get back
very
to you.
much.
Tony, does any lien, you mentioned lien, does that impact blight at all?
No, under the rules for the blight, if someone can't afford the cleanup, then the town will do it and place a lien on the property. But
Oh, okay.
You're not talking about, it's
Right.
insignificant
Okay.
numbers. Now, there's another iteration of that, but it has to do with if fines have been invoked, and then there's some issues, but no.
Great. Okay.
Jim, do you want to give your report for at home?
I will. And just to tie back in with Beth for TV 79, the telephone number for the Alzheimer's, if you need to sign up, is 203-655-2227. So we're doing that in conjunction with the Mather Center. I had mentioned, I guess it was 2 meetings ago, we have an intergenerational pen pal program. And we've got 54 pen pals with kids at Tokenique School, and I'm one of the 54 now, and I have to tell you, it's really fun. It's a very interesting, you get an insight into how kids think. So, but it's just an absolutely great program to pull people together.
I am too, and I've decided I print now, because no one can read my cursive.
I don't do cursive, I print, exactly. You're exactly right.
Too awesome.
Yeah. And then the Henley School, we've got a program where they mailed out 60 happy spring messages from second graders at Henley. And again, it's just, just receiving something is a big deal. But the kids just really enjoy it. It's, it's important to them, and they like doing it. Beth mentioned Alzheimer's. At Home in Darien is going to be celebrating its 10th year anniversary on May 10th, which works out well. And we've got a fundraiser that will occur on the 10th at Country Club of Darien. And it's open to everybody. We've sent out invitations, and we're getting a very good response from it. But if you think about the transition from Gallivant to the services now, it's just incredible, the amount of change and positive change, and the fact that they're really engaged with other organizations in town. So that's it.
Thank you.
And the website, by the way, is very up to date. So for
Yeah.
anybody out there, you can look at it.
Anything on blight at all?
Yes, we have 3 cases right now, which are they're past the arbitration point at this time. we've, quite a number of properties have been remediated, but we do have some serious issues at this point in time. But in general, the reaction has been, if the blight officer notifies people of blight, pretty much they take care of it. They get it done. We've had to use town services for a couple of people, but at the end of the day, it's worked. It's been a real learning process for us because the blight process is a very complicated. You don't just identify blight and then say clean it up. There's a lot of steps you have to go through to ensure that it happens and to ensure that the people get a fair hearing. But it's progressing. I'm the new chairman, so we'll see how that goes.
And I know you've had one situation which was difficult, I know that.
Yeah, if you go back and review Channel 79, you'll get a kind of an idea of what the issue is all about.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll get a real idea of what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing fine though.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ally, Connect Human Services.
Yeah, not too much to report. Energy assistance is winding down for the year. We have till May 1st for the utility heated homes to apply. We're getting some people coming, of course, just like the best with the taxes last minute. You know, it's had since September, but it's time, you know, to get it done under the gun. We started renter's rebate. Diane Barston, our program assistant, is the one who does those applications, and we have a while for that to go to the end of September. So that's for seniors or disabled residents, and there's income limits for that. And last year, the grants were decreased by 5.5%. And of course, we're watching to see if there's any decrease in it again this year. Hopefully not, but we'll wait and see. One thing I just wanted to highlight that I don't know that everyone is aware of is that we have the loan closet in our department. So we have wheelchairs, transport chairs, walkers, crutches, canes that people can borrow on a monthly basis. We've had an increase. It's interesting, and we always asked people, like, how do they know about it? And they heard from a neighbor or from a doctor or a physical therapist or whatever it might be. But it's a great service that we have, and it's free to all Darien residents. And we have people sometimes will even borrow a transport chair just because their mother's coming into town and they're going to be going to a graduation. And one woman was going to her grandson's graduation at NYU, and it was at Yankee Stadium, so they borrowed a transport chair because she wasn't able to walk the whole distance. So all kinds of reasons. So it's free of charge. It's on a monthly basis, so you can call if they're interested. And of course, as I spoke of last meeting, the Medicare Savings Program, where I haven't heard yet, but if there's going to be an asset limit attached to that, which would impact a lot of our residents, it would be very unfortunate. We will see.
Okay, thank you. Peter.
Starting where Beth left off, the ARP, the tax aid program, over. Last year we had 880 filings. This year it's up over 1,000, probably like 1,030, 1,040. They don't have the final count. So it was very busy, and taxes were much more complicated this year. So I think it worked out very well, and certainly we'll be doing more of that in the future. A couple things. AARP has announced a nationwide campaign related to prescription drugs. It's going to be a very important nationwide level, and on the national level, they're going to try to have Medicare be able to negotiate lower drug prices. So that's going to happen on the national level. On the state level, we're supporting HB 7174, which is an act which is concerning prescription drugs. Okay, and it has the support of the controller, and it has come out of the committee. And so we're waiting on the finance committee. But some of the things it would do, it would create a Connecticut prescription drug program to make outpatient drugs available to participants at the lowest possible cost. And it also, I think, will establish a drug reimportation task force, again, looking at how we can get efficiencies by bringing drugs from other countries, for example, legitimate, into it. And it will no longer allow the pharmacy benefit managers to recoup savings from the pharmacy or pharmacist. So again, this is that dual pricing structure that if you don't know about, you end up paying more for your for the prescription drugs. So that's a real important thing. Again, as Ally said, again, the Medicare savings program and the acid test, it would affect 18,000 seniors would no longer be eligible for this program in the state. 18,000 seniors. So again, we're pushing on that, and hopefully the governor will listen, and we'll get some relief on that. Okay, actually bring it back to where it's supposed to be, or where it has been. And then
Just so you guys know, basically what that does is it gives, people don't have to pay for their Part B Medicare insurance, which is on average usually around $109 a month. But the biggest thing is that it puts a cap on how much you pay on drugs. So the brand drugs, the maximum you pay is $8, which is huge. Some drugs are outrageous. So that's the part that's scary, that then people might not be able to afford their drugs.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I just
No.
check that on.
And then just last night I got an email, which I thought I haven't had a chance really to digest yet, but again, ARP at the state level, there's a bill, HB 7155, and what this is, it is a serious effort to reduce third-party electrical disparities and bring down the cost of electricity in the state. As we know, we've had this for probably 8 or 9 years now, and we're trying to stop it, or end it completely, actually, roll it back. But there's so many scams connected with third-party providers of electricity. So again, there's going to be a major push. In the last 3 years, ratepayers using third-party suppliers have paid over $200 million more than the standard service supply ratepayers in this state. So again, to the viewers, be alert, stay on top of the issues. When you hear about a hearing in Hartford, if you can, make a visit, go there. Certainly contact your legislators by phone, by email, and stay in their face to remind them how important it is for seniors and how our senior support has been eroded and how we need to bring it back up.
Another thing to add to that is I think you have to be very careful with the changes in medical because of the pre-existing condition. You have to be very careful that we don't allow that to go through. That would be a disaster for that to happen. To take away that was the one thing that was good with that. You can't have that. It would be, I don't even know what would happen with that. So, thank you very much, Peter. Tony, I do thank you for coming. I know it's some time out of your day, but any old business? Any new business?
I have something. Yes, when we had the Volunteer Appreciation Day, which was lovely, at the Mather Center, I was concerned at the number of people who may have needed handicap parking, who we only have a few spaces that are really hard for people coming down the hill. So it would be really good if the handicap parking was closer to the door on flat ground. I think this has been brought up before. But my other thought is there was one person who parked her car kind of at the end of the lot because that was the only space, who really had a hard time mobilizing to the front door. She couldn't walk very well, so I gave her a ride to the front door, and I went back and picked up her car and brought it there for her. What I'm wondering is, when we have a big event with lots of seniors who may have mobility problems, if we could have a volunteer, maybe valet service, somebody there they could just drop off their car, somebody go and park it for them, and then pick it up afterwards. Is that something we might be able to do for some people if they're not able to walk to the door because of lack of handicap parking?
I don't know whether that's an insurance issue or
It's
not.
an insurance
It's
issue.
an insurance issue, yeah.
Currently, Marcy and I do it. For the folks that are having an issue. If somebody brought it to our attention, we would have done it instead of Christine doing it.
Well, I didn't even know you did that.
Yeah, but we do it for some people. The events are getting fuller and fuller. We're having more and more issues with parking. We brought this to Public Works. There, in terms of the designated spots, we have the designated number of spots according to the spots that we have. It's all related to the ratio of numbers. In terms of they are talking about putting in just, you know how you have up in Town Hall in the little circle there? There's 2 signs that I think it says
Reserved for seniors.
reserved for elderly, yeah, and so that out of courtesy, people don't park in them, but you have to understand that everybody's coming to the city.
You
So
can just 20 or 30
everybody
spots.
has an issue with that. You know, this is a much bigger problem in terms of the, you know, the reconfiguration of the parking lot maybe someday could be changed. But as it stands right now, that's pretty much what we're doing. And we do know key seniors that have the issues. But, you know, this is the benefit, this is the result of being popular and having well-attended programming, and we are watching out. I also, at the end of the day, walk people to their cars. If, you know, if they'll allow it, that I do. So, and crossing, the crosswalk. Because there are people that stop and there isn't, because there's supposed to be a destination point for crosswalks, which I've been well educated in. We don't have a destination right across, there's not a landing spot. So in the afternoon, sometimes there's concern when people are coming in for other programs like to the Darien Arts, or people coming back from lunch to the town hall, and the speed at which they might be traveling across that. I go out as the parking cone and walk the person because I'm worried about some people's, they need to rest in between to even get over to that side. So I think it's a bigger issue.
Yeah, because when you
maybe-
talk, because you
but-
talk about insurance issue about the, you know, valet kind of parking or
Yeah.
volunteer service, yet we're walking with a person who has, you know, major mobility problems. That's also a liability insurance issue. So,
However, I
you
work
know,
here.
I know,
work
I know.
here
So
to instill volunteers to ask volunteers to do it. I know
Yeah.
there's a Good Samaritan protection.
yeah.
But it's different if we institute something and we request it, and then there's another layer to it. If staff is doing it, it's one thing, but to ask volunteers to do it is totally a different other thing.
Yeah.
So right now, we're able to manage it the way that, you know, as we see the need. But in the future, if that should happen to become more of a problem, that would be petitioned, I think, as something that we look at as a budgetary thing
Yeah.
to change the parking lot.
Yeah,
And that's much
I'm just
bigger
thinking
than
of
this
things like, you
discussion.
know, major holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, you know, big holidays when
It's-
everybody comes now.
It's now, every month, we have a major
Every
entertainment
month.
that sees over 120, 130 people every single month. Now, all of our, pretty much our lunch and learns, like, for instance, at home in Darien, I'm sure that's gonna get up into the 70s or 80s by the time it's all said and done. In the next 2 weeks, it's when everybody signs up for things. This is a normal thing for us, so that we're handling it.
Well,
But then
yeah, so
again, it can become a budgetary thing
Yeah.
that maybe the commission ends up advocating for at one time, but that would be a reconfiguration of the entire parking lot.
Yeah, well, then I'm
which would
thinking
be-
that people who are aware maybe that they have to park at the end of the lot because of the, you know, the number of people, that they should then be calling at home in Darien to take them maybe to the door and back. So maybe that's another option to advocate for that to, so they're not at risk, you know.
And get ready for the dredging, right?
Yes, I
Public
haven't,
Works is planning on
Yeah.
dredging, so that
Oh,
I
a lot of
haven't-
spots will be
yeah.
eliminated.
Oh, boy.
I haven't gotten that it's finalized, but we had to cancel programs late June all the way through the first week of September per request of Public Works, because they're pretty sure, and I just haven't heard the go-ahead, because I will start printing that. We will not even have half of our parking lot from that time. So all big entertainments and things, because the dredging project,
Dredging.
along
That little
the,
creek.
what do you call that creek?
Yeah.
It's a water source. Put it
One that
this way.
floods over the cemetery and the
Yes,
ballpark.
and into the ballpark. And so the thing is that we cannot affect the ball playing in the field, so nothing can be put on the field, including the amendment soil and the little pebbles that are gonna go in there. So everything will be staged through 3/4 of the front part of the parking lot. And there'll be trucks, there'll be 6-foot barriers that are gonna be erected. So it's gonna be a little bit of a dicey summer for us.
It's been about a decade since they've done it, isn't it?
Yeah.
About 10, 12
I
years?
think,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the flooding has increased so bad with the storms that we've had, and
Was
it's,
very helpful when
it's
they
a
did that.
necessity, but it's gonna be a kind of a pain we all must bear for a period of months, and hopefully. But thank you, Ray, for bringing that up, but.
Any other new business?
I wanted to bring up something that I find very interesting. I was at a meeting last week with the local human service directors, and a few towns actually have commissions, similar to Commission on Aging, for people with disabilities. And they are doing amazing work. And I think it's something that I would like to bring up and wonder if the commission would be willing. I talked to Jennifer about it. Maybe some kind of task force or something. But I think that's something that we've overlooked. And they have some wonderful work. It's Westport, Fairfield, and Ridgefield. They call them different things. One calls them. What was it, a commission, one's a commission on people with disabilities, one's a commission for accessibility, but basically just advocating for disabled individuals in town. And actually they have, similar to like a municipal agent for seniors, they have a municipal agent. It tends to be the human service director for people with disabilities. So just wanted to bring it up and see if there's interest in starting to talk about
Which towns were they?
Westport, Ridgefield, and Fairfield.
I wonder if you could have a subcommittee of this committee as opposed to a whole separate commission.
I have said to Ally, forming a commission is difficult and best because it has so many,
Rules.
it has so much baggage to it. I think maybe a task force would be easier to, we could do it as a subcommission from this, which would be fine.
Yeah, take
And
an
I think
existing.
very interesting.
I think there's a lot
and
of
helpful.
overlap between, working with seniors and working with people who are disabled.
Right. And I'll, yes, I think we can address that. I think that would be very, very good to address.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a big need for it.
Absolutely.
Yes. I know there's a big need for the mental health part. And I don't know the amount of disabilities per se in Darien, but I'm sure that there's more than we even can conceive.
So it's just starting the process. I'm going to pick the brain of the Westport Human Service Director because they have done amazing work. And their commission actually, this is something we can just continue to talk about. They have some residents who have disabilities who are on the commission, and then then obviously some town employees, and then other residents.
Yeah, I think it's really important, and now especially since the rate in this town where people move because of children with disabilities and on the autism spectrum, just that they're going to become older and needing more and advocacy, and so I think it would be really good to put that in place for everybody with all kinds of disabilities.
And that's in
Yeah.
particular because I think that's when they're done, when they age out of the school
Right,
system,
they
and
age
they're
out.
21, and then
Right.
what? And
And then they're
they're
really
kind of in this
so-
missing link between becoming seniors and having advocacy groups for seniors, and
Right,
so
right. So it's I think it would be terrific.
Westport has always been ahead of us. I mean, going back years, we moved students out of here to Colbytown and to Staples because they were way ahead of us. And I know I was formed a committee for parents, and that's what we really had to get them out of here because we are now.
the services that they offer, right?
Yeah, we were warehousing.
Yeah.
We need
Ally,
Yes.
there's an organization in Stamford, and I cannot remember the name of it, but their whole mission is to do exactly what you were talking about. They take on teenagers once they are out of the age group that the state will support.
It's 21.
Yeah.
21.
Is that
Yeah,
STAR?
but there, if I can,
Ableist?
that's it. Ableist. You might at least just look at them as a template and see. I'm sure they've got a website.
Oh, yeah.
But I know
Ableist and STAR
DCF,
are the two big ones
Yeah.
around here.
and I know DCF provides grant money to them.
DCF.
Yeah, because I reviewed them years ago. I was on the vetting committee for Darien Community Fund, and they were one of the ones that we vetted. So you might, there may be a way to partner and learn from them and understand how that's
Right,
working.
that's great.
I think Westport even did a Survey Monkey when they first initiated this. asking residents, just to get more feedback
Yeah.
from what they feel is lacking, what they feel is what they're succeeding at, and also just trying to identify people who are disabled, that, if they're not, didn't go through the school system, they didn't have those services.
Right.
So I think it's just kind of a missing link.
Well, and I think this way you can get a magnitude type of number. You can start understanding, because that's all they do. And STAR's the other one that they're in where, Norwalk, yeah. So I think it might help you just understand what's the proportional size here and how could we either utilize some of the things they do, but just as a structural start for us.
I'd just like to bring up one thing. This commission has a mission, and I think we do a very good job with it. However, I think that it's very important for seniors in this town for advocacy for seniors. I think there's many things that they don't have a voice in, and I think the only way you keep them with a voice is to educate them and have programs. They are very deficient in what their medical knowledge is. They need a lot of guidance as far as finances. And I think I've talked to Beth, and she's very willing to have some very nice programs, which we are going to start to have. And I would appreciate it if, I wish more members were here, but I realize it's a vacation week. If you would come back at the next meeting with any ideas or feelings that you have about what would help the seniors. We're lucky to have the state reports from Peter and all of the other reports, but I do think that in a town that has a small amount of seniors really in proportion, I think we need to really advocate for them, because I don't think that they are up to date on as much as they might be able to be up to date on. And I think that's the only way they're going to have a voice. And so I would appreciate it very much if you would bring anything that you've heard or your concerns or you feel that they need to the commission so that we can help them out. Any other new business? May I have a motion to adjourn? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.